Hello, I'm Greg Holloway, and welcome to the continuation of the Common Sense Texans gubernatorial virtual debate, this time with Democratic candidate Bill White. Mayor White will be answering the same questions that were asked of the three GOP candidates. These questions were prepared by grassroots conservatives across the state. There'll be 3 questions on this YouTube. Let's start right now.
Well, you know, the governor, under our state constitution, can't eliminate any tax. It does require an action by the legislature. And there's no doubt that property taxes have hit middle-class families so hard in Texas. You know, we pay for so much with our property taxes. That's why when I was mayor of Houston, we cut the property tax rate for 5 straight years, and we raised the senior and disabled exemption, so that especially people on fixed income who own their residences, maybe their biggest expense would be their property taxes, and they shouldn't be forced out of their property. But you know, every proposal to cut one tax and raise another tax, you got to listen to the people who are paying the other tax. The fact is that we all pay for goods and services, and we got to have the right balance between property taxes and the sales of goods and services in order to protect the Texas economy. Let me give you an example. If we were to raise our sales tax rates to the highest in the nation, I would like to own the tractor dealership right in Texarkana, Arkansas, because that would shift a lot of our goods and services outside the state. So I want to work to give real property tax relief. I've done it before. I didn't promise to do it when I was running for mayor of Houston in any of my elections, but I looked under the hood, made government more efficient, and did it for 5 straight years. You know, I don't know what we'll find when I look under the hood of our state spending. There's one category of spending under Governor Perry that I find very questionable, and that's large amount of our tax revenues that are allocated to something called an enterprise fund. Now, everybody's for enterprise and everybody's for jobs, but what he's used this for is to give some businesses, often those in competition with other Texas businesses, basically a grant using tax dollars from the government. Now, I don't know any business who wouldn't like a grant from the government, but I've built businesses, I've made payroll, and I never expected the government to come in and write me a check in order to employ people. That's one program that I think ought to be cut. And we ought to look across the board. You know, we can find productivity improvements in government if we run government like a business. What I did in Houston is take a look at the employee benefits, how we could make employees more productive. I also took a look at our vendor contracts. You know, in the oil and gas service business that I've been in, when the customers aren't doing as well, then the suppliers have cut their prices or they'll lose the business. We need to do more of that in our state government so that when our economy goes down, when our taxpayers are hurting, those providing goods and services to the state also have to take a cut. I don't know how that will play between different programs of the state because I haven't looked under the hood, which you need to do. You just can't get it from a budget book. In the old Soviet system, the way they used to run the economy is somebody would give a speech, they'd go through budget books, and they would do across the board this and that. If we run this state government like a business, we look at the productivity of each function and see what we could do to maintain essential services but not pay a penny more than we have to. Under our Constitution, a sacred document, the federal government has the principal responsibility, for securing our borders, defining the laws of our citizenship, and the fact of the matter is the federal government has let us down in this critical function. We have right now a shadow economy, policies that aren't based on the reality out there, and as a result, gang members and human traffickers and narco traffickers are able basically to hide in the shadows of the economy of many people who've worked and paid taxes, even though they've outlasted their visa or they've gotten here without proper documentation. Now, I don't think the state government, just like the federal government, should go around giving a lot of mandates to employers. I think what employers should do to comply with federal law should be up to federal agencies. It's not up to state governments under our Constitution. But I don't believe Texas should be a sanctuary state or that we should have sanctuary cities. Certainly Houston is not a sanctuary city, and I'll tell you why I know that for a fact. Because every week we have, and every day, we have police officers who are arresting people who are non-citizens for violating our criminal laws. We are used as a model with ICE of how local law enforcement can work with ICE on raids on gangs and drug dealers and some of the international gangs that we have to put up with in this country. You know, there's a lot of myths about this, but I want the citizens of Texas to know that throughout this state, in every community except I think one small city north of Dallas, the police, the law enforcement officers who are good people in this state are working hard every day to respond to the calls of the citizens and to investigate crime, and they are understaffed and there is more work to be done. We don't want to take them off that work to do immigration raids that the federal government should be doing, because that means it'll take longer for somebody to respond to the call to a citizen. There will be less burglaries and robberies and homicides being investigated. We need to concentrate our local law enforcement on crimes. That doesn't mean we're a sanctuary state. That means that we're using our law enforcement effectively.